Hey everyone, Genome here, coming at you with my latest home project. It's a little late to be starting this. Actually, I should have started this about a month ago at least, but the weather was wacky here and it didn't come to pass, whatever the case may be. Probably abject laziness would be more of the explanation, but you can't see it really too well, but I'll bring you some close-ups. But I'm going to do a hanging bucket garden. Now, I used to do this years ago. If I can find some other video, I'll intersperse it here somewhere where I planted 4x4s in the ground and drove hooks into them and hung them that way. And this one, now that I have a house with a big back porch area that doesn't really get utilized much, I'm actually going to use the railing as my hanging supports. So let me go ahead and just walk you through real quick what I'm got here. Hopefully just to give you any motion sickness. But first off, got a couple bags. Let me get this squared away here of organic hummus. A couple bags of garden soil here. Lots of 5-gallon buckets, you know, Home Depot, Homer buckets, whatever. Some stakes for like cucumbers and that thing. And just a few trays of stuff that's already been started. Normally I start the seeds myself in the garage, but once again, I wasn't planning on doing this year and just it slipped my mind. These tomatoes got to get in the ground pretty quick. They're yellowing, probably a sign of overwater, and they probably got root locked real bad. My neighbor just gave them to me, so another thing has spurned my desire to get this done. So okay, so basically I'll just do a quick rundown of what's going to happen. I'm going to take one of these buckets here. Well, that's not a good example of one. Hold on. These buckets are from years ago, so they're already kind of set up. But basically what's going on with them is you take a 5-gallon, get a hole in the bottom, and I also do drill holes at the bottom edge. That way water doesn't sit in there. You don't want them to get root rot, you know, down in there. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take these and hang them over the rails, hence the term hanging buckets. This keeps a lot of the pests out of them and just makes it really easy. Now, the reason I drill the hole in the big bottom, or the big hole in the bottom, is not for probably the reason you're thinking. It's not because for excess drainage, so you know, the hole should be fine for that. What I normally do is, when hanging buckets, I usually, especially the tomato plants, I will put them in upside down. And what happens is I can get 2 plants in a bucket. So I'll plant one on top, usually a pepper or something, and then usually a tomato on the bottom. They have no problems growing upside down. I've had some really good results, especially with Jet Star tomatoes and cherry tomatoes, which I don't think I have any this year. I think I got Romas and Better Boys and something called, what was it called? Mortgage Buster, I think it was called. So we'll see. I've never done those before. But so yeah, that's gonna be just. So I'm gonna line up these buckets all on this rail over here, and hopefully when I'm done, I'll have a nice little harvest to be had. I mean, it won't be huge because normally I had a big garden and all, but whatever. It's just mostly an experiment. So all right, I'm on it. 1, 2, 3. All right, looks like we're gonna get some rain, so I'm gonna have to cut this short. But here's the premise. We're gonna have rows of buckets here, of course, just hang off the edge. Things will grow up. I can pick them right from here at the edge. Any water drains out here below. Easy. Good for people who lack space, people who are in like a city environment, or like me, a neighborhood environment that's on an awful slope that does not do well for gardens. Just to give you an idea of the slope here I'm dealing with. And here comes the rain, so I gotta get the camera out. But yeah, there's no garden back there. All right. All right, so the rain is past and twilight is upon us, but me waxing poetic aside, let's see the progress so far. I haven't added soil yet. I may do it. I'm running out of daylight real fast, but here's what we got going on. Okay, gotta have some regular old hanging pots. I'll probably put peppers in these. They don't require too much room, and they love a lot of direct sunlight, so this is perfect on the outside wall. And the same goes for the row O buckets here. I may add another 1 or 2, but for now, we'll see if this will work. But yeah, there we go. So I'm going to be putting a a lot of these I'll have like a pepper or 2 tomato plants in each one. So I'll either do it pepper, tomato, or just tomato, because I got a lot of tomato plants to plant. But yeah, so I'll fill this thing halfway or 3/4 with mix of potting soil and manure kind of stuff mix, and then I'll have the plants coming out from underneath and at the top, so you're getting double the real estate for each of your buckets. So hopefully this all makes sense. Sorry about these camera angles, it's kind of weird back here, but so that's where it goes. I got everything tied up right now with nylon, and let's see if I can move it around here. So yeah, I have everything tied up here with just nylon line. You can buy it probably at the dollar store or Home Depot if you want to spend some money on it. And I got some twine too. It's considered like a securing ring around the base of it, because we are kind of windy up here. Once it gets dirt in there, I don't expect it to be moving back and forth much, but you know, it takes an extra couple minutes to tie all this stuff, so why not do it, right? And yeah, it's going to be pretty heavy. So I have 3 strips here. I may add on to it. We'll see, because it's not the biggest line in the world, but it ties easier. So there's that. So yeah, hopefully this all comes together well. And it's nice and cool right now, so I might just start putting stuff in buckets. So stay tuned. All right, let me just show you real quick how this is done. I'm doing this one-handed, so this might not be the easiest thing in the world. But let's see what I got here. Some aromas. So try to put kind of robust species hanging on the bottom, but you pull one out. I'm sorry, I can't see what I'm doing here. Alright, so leave the root ball intact, and let's see if I can do this without destroying my camera. Okay, see the hole down there? And just kind of manhandle the stem until you get down there gently as you possibly can. Oops, sorry. Right through the hole in the bottom. And then leave the root ball right on top. And there it is. So it'll look... I got the tripod attached, so... getting caught up on stuff now. But it'll look like this, if you can see it. Now I've already got one done. This is the bigger one that I had, but you can see it'll hang down perfectly. And okay, whoops, I'm getting a little water on the lens now. I'm gonna do that up and down the rows, and hopefully I haven't destroyed my lens. Alright, I'm gonna put peppers in those probably, and I got all the buckets tied in and twined in. Alright, so day 2. I got rained out last night. It rained for several hours, but I was able to get back outside and work till like 9:30 or so. It gets good to you, gotta keep going when it comes to gardening. So unfortunately the light was not such that I could film it, so a lot of what took place probably was not committed to celluloid, so to speak, but I can kind of show you what's going on, and I still have a few more steps to go through before finishing. Excuse the mess, I still got quite a bit going on, so let me switch things up here and kind of take you through a little bit of what I've been doing. So first off, the more basic stuff. These are smaller mid-sized pots, and all of these are be like peppers. I do have some more hanging ones. I may get some more hanging ones too. We'll decide. I don't want too many. So all those are going to be peppers. I got, let's see if I can get in here a little bit. I'm not going to be able to see myself too well, but... So what I'm going to be doing here is, like I said, pepper row. So all of these hanging ones have hot bananas in them, hot banana peppers. All of these over here, these 3 that already have peppers in, these are going to be California Wonders. These are sweet, bigger size, like almost like bells, you know, green peppers. And I have some more mid-size pots. I had to go get some more. I ran out of them. These are going to be housing habaneros peppers, so gotta get some hot ones too, right? So yeah, this is going to be all pepper area. And as you can see, I also have some cucumbers to put into the ground as well. So I may have to skip on some of the peppers and use it for that. But I still have these left. I might not be able to get everything planted. Some of these were gifted to me. Some of these I went and got, thanks to my neighbor John. Over here, I have some cukes, full-size cukes. Sorry, this tripod's getting in the way. Give me a second. Yeah, these big ones over here are cucumbers, and I may just build a bed for them. I don't know. I got some leftover lumber in the house, but we'll see. And that's a big old Aristotle pepper. I've never actually grown one of those, so I'm curious what it's like. But yeah, so maybe you can see it from this side. I have what, 8 buckets here, all 5-gallon size. And how I mount them, this is a new innovation, is I got nylon line on the rail itself, just right around the handle. I'll show it to you when we go around front. Well, I can show you right now, I guess. And see, if you leave the handles on them, tied around the handle, and if you put it in between, I didn't do it at all of them, but you put them in between the stiffeners there, whatever, that makes a nice little like resting place for them. And if you can see it, let me see if I can zoom in. I also put twine around like the lower third of them. We do get a lot of wind here. Not that it's going to move these big heavy buckets too much, but it also helps secure them, keeps them in place. So let's see if I can get a decent front size for you. But that's what it's going to look like, just a row of them. Let me get up front here. All right, give me a second. So these are all, what are these? These are all, I got them all better bush. Kind of like a beefsteak. It's a bigger, hardier tomato. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see this picture, I'll show you some a little bit later on. I'm doing the first 4 of these as over-unders. So basically I have a plant in the top and a plant coming out the bottom. But I want the heavier tomato stuff to be on top. Those probably won't do as well in the hanging environment, so you want smaller tomatoes down there, like Jet Stars, Romas, cherry tomatoes, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm going to have a line of probably mostly tomato. I may put a pepper in those last 2, but I got a lot more tomatoes to plant, so in fact I don't have enough buckets, actually. I should have drilled holes in all of them in the bottom, but whatever. So yeah, that's what's going on here. So this is going to be the tomato row, and it's the whole essence of the hanging bucket, you know. So far the line seems secure. Let me see if I can show you the underneath. I'm going to actually take the camera off the tripod here, so forgive any shaky cam here. Okay, and let me go down the stairs and up. Here, have a nice view of the back holler, if you will. Okay. Let me see here. So this is the underneath part. This hole I drew a little bit big, and hopefully this doesn't pop through, but the roots should be fine. But this is what it looks like underneath. So yes, you got a hole in the bottom, big hole, and then I didn't do it on this one because this wasn't originally one of those kind of buckets, but drainage holes in the very bottom section, so water didn't set in there. Like you see, it has it on these, but these weren't set up for the underneath. I had more tomatoes than I thought I was going to have. So that's what it looks like underneath. So it just maximizes space, because really, if you have the 3/4 full 5-gallon bucket of soil, that's just plenty for at least one plant. And I've done this before with, looks like we got a little, that was a pest. I've done this before, usually with tomatoes on the bottom and peppers on the top. So even though there's more extensive root systems on these tomatoes, I don't see it being a problem. So that's what's going on right now. I'm going to get busy and try to finish this little project up. Unfortunately, I slept in a little bit, so I'm going to be doing this during the heat of the day. Not the most intelligent. So there you have it. So I'm going to get busy, put more soil in. I'll probably take some footage of it too. I'm going to be wearing gloves. I don't normally wear gloves, but it's just because I have to keep touching the camera, and I don't want a bunch of grit and grime and stuff getting into the camera buttons. It's too expensive for that nonsense. So, yep. So I'm going to go ahead and soil up some buckets and containers. What I'm using in mixture right now is about half and half with potting soil and the humus and manure. Technically speaking, that's probably more potting soil than I need. I'm giving a little more to the tomatoes because they seem to be a little more susceptible to not so much root shock, but just sometimes they don't like this transfer too much, so I'm just giving them a little bit extra oomph, you know. But I get it in there, I mix it all up, so it's nice and aerated and all that too. So hopefully the roots will just explode out. So, all right, let me get to it. Enough rambling. All right, hopefully this headset doesn't get in the way too much. I'm going to add some potting soil first. Actually, no, scratch that. I'm going to add some manure first and compost. Because I got more of it and I need to take up space. Really, the potting soil is most important at the top. Headset's already getting in the way. Of course, it's clumped up in there, so it doesn't always make for an easy pour. I'm going to fill these about halfway. With the compost. Might be a little overkill, but whatever. I don't want the stuff sitting around taking up my garage space. Okay, these 5 gallons might be a little bit wasteful, just in the fact that you do got to put a lot of soil in them to get the plants to the top, so they're actually getting plenty of sun. And honestly, if you bury them in here too deep, even if they're getting a lot of direct sun, it's probably going to cook them because the heat from the bucket sides, it'll just bounce back and forth in there, and something like convection oven, you know. Okay, over here. Over here. All right. So we should still have plenty left for all the other little containers. Now let's get in there and break that up a little bit, because like I said before, this stuff tends to clump. You gotta get in there and break them loose sometimes. And once I put the potting soil in there, I'll mix it up too with this, so it's a nice little, you know, even mixture somewhat of different substrates here, or fertilizers, if you will. This rich brown or black humus and manure. The gardener's friend. I was gonna buy some Epsom salts, and I've never actually done it before, but I've heard it's really good for this sort of thing. To put a little bit down there along with the original root ball, you know, when you bury them first, or plant them, should I say. And then, but I've never had to use them in the past, and I've usually had pretty dang good results. So, all right, that looks pretty good. Let's add some potting soil. Well, this may not be as hard as setting up a regular garden with tilling the soil and all. It's going to burn more energy than you think, and it's going to be a lot of heavy lifting and grunting and groaning and placement. This is really clumped up in there bad. And I probably should have got another bag of potting soil, but it is what it is. Break loose. Oh, that broke very loose. We can look at these chunks. So yeah, you gotta do some work sometimes. But yeah, like I was saying, this is easier than a regular garden, but just be prepared. Drink lots of water. Stretch maybe first, because you're going to do a lot of stooping and bending and lifting and hoisting. I think I am going to be shy. I still got about a third of a bag left, and that might be enough for the rest of the pots. So once again, get in there and break up any big chunks you see with your hands. Make it as easy on the new roots as possible, and they will thank you for it. Aerate it nice, and like I said, I'm going to mix it up here in a second a little bit. So some of the piece of plastic in there. So some of the manure, make it up top. Give that a little extra something, right? You can see my back is in a permanent S right now from yesterday. All right, let's get in there. It's been pretty humid as of late here and rainy. So even in the bags, these things tend to clump up pretty badly. And I go ahead and prep a little indentation here for the root ball. Mix, my pretties, mix. But, so how about you guys? Anyone watching here ever do their own garden? I'd like to hear about it in the comments. If you have all done anything similar to this before. This technique is odd. I did this at my old place, and I had lots of acres there. The problem was, as is often the problem here in West Virginia, most of that acreage, like my backyard, is on a slant like this. Not very conducive to good flower beds and gardening and all that. So I did a lot of buckets even back then. We had a lot of pests here too, ground-based pests. Well, you know, they're everywhere, but they're really bad up here, it seems. So this helps keep some of them away. And I've always had pretty good yields out of this. It is different. It takes getting used to. And it's a decent amount of initial work, but it's really easy to tend afterwards. You don't have to aerate nearly as often as you do with the standing, because we have like a lot of clay in our soil up here. So it tends to really harden up, and it makes it hard for the roots to grow sometimes. So using this and mixes and all gives them a little bit better of a fighting chance, at least to get started and situated. All right. Let me change positions here. Stupid headset's really getting annoying. And I don't know where these are going to be yet, so I'm just going to put them out here for now to fill easily, and then we'll figure out their home. Okay, first I need a little bit of this. I do have one to fill over here. This might just work out. Oh, would you look at this? It's perfect. I haven't got a couple of these little ones. These might be just temporaries until I get some more pots, maybe. Layer one, done. Let's get the potting soil down. Garden soil, potting soil, whatever you want to call it. Then I'll get in there and do the same thing. I'll break it up, aerate stuff, and then figure out what I'm actually going to put in them. Oh, wow. This couldn't have worked out better. Might be a little shy. For the little guys here, but I might have enough. I can always transfer some too. Yep. I have to transfer a little bit. Let's see. This one looks like it has plenty. After I break it up. Transfer complete. Put some there and put some there. This is not the cleanest technique in the world. So definitely have this in a place you can clean off or that gets direct rain. All these plants that I picked for this garden are all sun lovers. And while all plants are sun lovers in some ways, tomatoes, peppers, they love the direct sun. They like the heat. So they can handle it. And it gets almost constant sun back here because of the orientation of the house. So you got to plan things like that too when you put gardens in. Excuse me if you're just seeing my behind here, but like I said, and I feel like such a tool for wearing gloves doing this, but whatever. Camera. Always think of the camera. So same as before, I'm going to get in there and aerate things a little bit. One good thing to do with gardens, if you're going to do pots and you want to keep track of your stuff, I'm going to, of course, add the information of what's in there. But one of the good things to do is if you have a chance, like if you notice, a lot of these pots are different. So if you get different kinds of pots, you can, you can like make it species specific in each pot. Like all these are the same kind of peppers. All those are the same kind of peppers. And it just makes it easy, you know. But I'm going to mark them too with, you can use the information sticks that come with them. And that's great to do. If you have some you're not sure of or you're going to forget, you don't have enough sticks, I like to just use a piece of masking tape somewhere on the container. And I'll tell you what it is. Doesn't make a huge difference because, you know, a tomato is a tomato for the most part. But the problem comes when you go to harvest them. And if you want to eat stuff right off the vine, I don't recommend eating habaneros and scotch bonnets directly. Thinking they're going to be like a wax pepper or something, you know, nice and mild. Might be in for a rude awakening. So safety first, even when it comes to gardening. So big chunks. Oh, this rich black loam here. Plants are going to love this. They've been confined in those poor little trays for a while. Now they're going to have room to roam. These little pots are pretty small. Habaneros generally don't get too big. But I'll probably put some of those in here. So, all right. Well, since I'm already down, got the camera over there, let's put some more peppers in, shall we? All right, so, California Wonders are probably going to need bigger pots. It's a bigger pepper. So I will stick with the California Wonders in these pots, bigger ones. See how they're all root locked real bad? Give them a little massage before you put them in, trying to break the roots. Kind of stimulate them a little bit before you bury them. Now, one thing I'm kind of doing wrong is you shouldn't really do this too much during midday because of the heat of the sun. The problem is usually you want to water these in to get them nice and seeded, but you don't want to water during midday. You'll cook them alive. Another thing you can do, which I often do, is put the tag to like the left or all the way to the right of one, and then don't put a new tag in until you get to a new plant, right, a new species. So this whole row, and they should stand out pretty well for what they are. Is all these big pots are going to be in these California Wonders. But yeah, if you've done gardens, any kind of gardens really big, especially big potted gardens, let me know what your experience was like, what worked best for you, what didn't work for you, mistakes you made. I've made plenty of them. And I only garden. It's weird. I get this itch every couple of years to get a lot of plants going. And I used to do flowers when I was younger, but I'm more utilitarian nowadays. So I want them to actually produce something for me other than just a little bit of beauty. I want them to have a harvest. So I'm a function more than a form guy. Okay. Even though this one's off by himself, I'm going to know what he is just by the size of them, probably. So, all right, California Wonders are in. What do I have left for the peppers? I still have some hot peppers. Oh, that reminds me, I need to do... I kind of messed up there. I should have done one of those at cucumber, but that should be all right. Oh, yeah, here's the other one, big one I wanted to do. So, actually, I might take one of those I just did and transfer something else into there. Because I got this Aristotle I'm very curious about, and he's a good-sized plant already. And I have a feeling he's going to need a good-sized space. I could put him in the tomato row, but let's... I should take this guy out. Sorry, buddy. We'll find another home for you here. I only got one of these because I didn't really know anything about them that much. So, plus they didn't have a whole lot at the nursery I went to. They were a lot picked lower than I thought they would be. This is the Aristotle. In case it comes alive and starts speaking philosophy to me, I'll know for sure. I'm giving some of these away. So this California Wonder, actually, this poor guy, man, he's having a rough day. I've moved him like 3 times now. It's going to go to a friend of mine. She expressed some interest in it, and she's going to bring me some onions. So, all right, let's do some habaneros. My problem is I just need more pots. Oh, yeah, and I wanted to do cucumbers, too. So let's actually... The good thing is you can move these again, too, if need be. But these cukes are already coming... They're starting to vine out a little bit already, too. So, I probably have to wind up moving these into something bigger. But for now, this will do. Habaneros, you're going to go in the small pots for now. And I'll get some trellis or stake for these things to vine out onto. Looks like I'll have a spare cucumber to give away too. Let's see. I got a good feeling about this one. So this is the giveaway. Always share as a gardener. Give to those who don't have what you have, if you can. We have cukes. So I'll probably actually just put them along here because they will actually vine out around or the trellis out around here, these stiffeners and these pieces here. So off you go. Okay, now we're making progress. So we'll put this, I like to do left to right, so cukes, even though once again it's very obvious. So I still have the habaneros to place. So let's put 3 of these in. It's warm out here. And I'll probably just put them right back in here. But so you can see what I'm doing, in case you're still interested. I'll just move this over here temporarily. Okay. these are probably temporary. I'm probably going to put these into a bigger pot. But it's still better than what they're in right now. Okay. Easy as can be. And there they are. And they're little temporary, probably little homes. And I'll put them right over here. You can't see it, but I'll scroll over them later. So these last couple ones I have are called sun shookers. Never dealt with them before. I'm kind of curious. So let's get to it. Let's take the ones that look like they have the best chance. Some of these don't look too hot. And let's give them some breathing room. The cool thing about tomatoes is if you ever look at them really close, their stems have little hairs all over them. If you have nice loose soil, if you pack soil up on the stem, higher and higher on the stem where those little hairs are, those actually turn into roots. They're like primordial roots, and it'll make it even stronger, bigger plant. It's very interesting. And I'll go through like how to prune these, how to prune the suckers and all that later on after these guys get settled. Okay, these are cherry tomatoes. I probably should put these on the bottom. I didn't even think about it, but whatever. We're in there now. Give just a little firm seat, but don't push too hard. I don't want to break up those roots too bad. Put soil up strong on the stem. And tonight we'll come back and water these nice and good. Or nice and well, should I say. These got plenty of tags. Or centralize them if you can. Just makes good sense. They have most room to grow, and they won't have the roots start creeping up the side of the bucket if possible. Let them roam. All right, so that's the strongest looking of those bunches. And I think I have a tag for each one of those. So they're looking a little yellow, and I think that problem is usually that's a sign of overwatering. So they've been sitting in those tightly compacted trays for quite a while. They're root locked, and they're always damp. So I think that's part of the problem with those. And what are these? Oh, these are aromas, aren't they? I should put one of those there. You know, I messed up. I should have put, well, it is what it is. I'd rather have aromas, honestly, than more cherries. So, sorry, but you're back in the tray for now. So, there it is. I'm going to start labeling everything, and then I'll do a final walk around here shortly and show you what's going on. Stay tuned. All right, so before we get to the final walk around, let me just give you a quick idea of what you're going to need. First thing is you'll need some trays of plants, right? That's pretty obvious, of vegetables, right? Some pots. This is just an example. I'll show you, of course, the essence of this hanging bucket garden is the 5-gallon buckets. Home Depot, I think, are like $2 a piece, $2.50, something like that. Lowe's, wherever you get the buckets from. I probably prefer the Home Depot ones. They're a little bit more, a little bit lighter in color, honestly. Maybe help reflect a little bit more heat. Who knows? A couple different kinds of tape, mostly for labeling. Pretty standard stuff. Nylon rope or twine. As you see, I do a lot of tie-ups, but you could use hooks, straps, basically anything you want to mount this stuff. So this was just, I had stuff in my garage already. You're going to want some stakes eventually for the tomatoes, and sometimes the peppers too. They get pretty heavy, and sometimes I'll zip tie them up to the stakes, simple, or use twine, whichever. A little garden hand rake, nothing big, just to aerate the soil, and you'll want to aerate every now and then too, even in the pots. A razor knife to open the bags. Some sort of compost medium, probably. I like the manure and humus mix, and then some garden soil and or potting soil. And you're ready to rock and roll. And then lots of elbow grease. A couple gallons of sweat, and you should be good. So I'll go ahead and clean this up a little bit, and then I'll take you on a tour. All right, so here we go. The final walkthrough. So as you can see here, we got the over-under setup going on with some of these, and just a lot of buckets. So let's go. Hopefully this is not too bad for shaky cam. Okay, so we have lots and lots of buckets tied up on our railing. And these were put in last night. They seem to be doing all right. So no apparent root shock as of yet. And we'll go swing around again and look at the tops. Nice and evenly spaced, easy to water, maximizing use of space. That's the key to projects like this. All right, so now for our smaller stuff, he's kind of a lone wolf over there, but that's one of the sweet Californias, this big one over there. Got a row of hot banana. Okay. A row of sweet California. I need to fix the twine on that one. There's the Aristotle, standing there mightily, probably contemplating his place in the universe. 3 buckets of cukes. Once again, kind of color-coded in their own pots. But as I said before, I could label each one, but really, if they're all the same, I just put one label in the leftmost pot, leave the other ones blank, and then next time I see a label, I know it's something different. And finally, to the habaneros, which are probably in temporary spots. I did have to label one of the containers until I get some bigger pots where I need to go grab some more. I had some more at the old place, and a lot of them broke, or I got rid of them. I forgot to show you this on the way up, too. I have labels. For up and down for the what's in there. And for the ones I really couldn't reach too well, oh yeah, see here I put one inside of that lone wolf over there. You know, I think I'll know what he is. For the ones that are up top and I couldn't really see them that well, I left their labels right there, easy glance. So really, it's not that bad. As far as outlay, let me shaky cam you one more time, and then I will close up. So there you have it. I have a semi-fully fledged bucket garden going. I probably got 6 hours or so into the project. Tad more or less. I was able to do some of this faster because I already had pots prepped like this from when I did it before. And I also had a lot of the smaller pots already ready to go, and they were pre-drilled and all that for drainage, you know, for the water. I got a big variety of tomatoes, peppers, and other things in. I'm going to put some more things eventually, but not go too crazy with it. I don't want a huge bounty or anything this year. This should be plenty for us. Money-wise, I'd say that the initial outlay, if you've never done this before, didn't have all the buckets and all that, it's probably around somewhere around $60 to $70. Lots of buckets, lots of containers for the plants. Any various little tools. You don't need much in the way of tools. Mostly your hands do all the work. Just a little garden rake is basically about the only tool you're really going to need, and some tape and that sort of thing. But the containers will be your biggest outlay probably at first because, you know, well, maybe not. But the pots aren't too expensive. There's probably, what I got, 8 here. So, you know, $16. Most of those smaller style pots are between $2.50 and $3 at like Dollar General or something like that. So not too bad. Really small pots are usually about $1 a piece, maybe 2 for $1. Like I have the habaneros in, you saw earlier. So in each bag, depending on the soil you buy and the manure humus mixture, whatever it is you get, you know, I'd say on average each bag is going to cost you between $4 and $5. Some are less, some are more. Just kind of meeting in the middle somewhere. So it took me 3 bags of the manure mix and 3 bags of the garden / potting soil to do everything you've seen. So the initial outlay is a little bit, but what you got to think about too is in the future you can reuse those buckets, and then it's drastically cut. The cost is drastically cut year after year or season after season, depending where you're living. So it's really not that bad. I would fully expect to get $70 worth of produce out of what I planted this year, fairly easily. The tomatoes, you can usually harvest them a few times. Cucumbers will be producing like crazy if they decide to grow. The peppers, you'll have more than you can eat, and you can give them to neighbors and that sort of thing. Remember to give. So really, if you do enjoy fresh, non-pesticide vegetables, this is much cheaper way of doing it. Not everyone has as much space. Sorry about that. I had to readjust the camera. Not everyone has as much space or the facilities I am, but there's different ways you can do this. You don't have to do it in the bigger buckets. I would recommend keeping tomatoes in big buckets, though. If you're going to do like smaller hanging style buckets or like the 2 and 3 gallon size containers, I would definitely stick like peppers and smaller plants, because tomatoes are fairly robust, if you will. But yeah, so if you just need a little bit of space, you could do this in an apartment balcony. Make sure you don't get a bunch of soil and stuff on your neighbor's patio below, especially if you're going to water, so might want to ask them first. If you have you can do this in the front of the house. You can rig up your own hangers. Like I said before, I had 4x4s that I used to plant in the ground. I screwed big hooks into them, hanging hooks, and just hung right off the handles, right off the post, and it worked great. I could put like 4 of these on each 4x4, so it worked out great. There's lots of different ways to do it. You don't have to do the underneath technique. That's one of the reasons you hang in this style. But if you don't want to do that, you can set them right on the ground. Just make sure to give them adequate drainage in the bottom, and just put 1 plant per bucket. No big deal at all. You'll still probably recoup your costs if you plan on eating this stuff. Yeah, I can't recommend enough. There's something so satisfying about growing things, getting your hands in the soil, and making projects like this happen. Just, I don't know, on a whim. It's a lot of work initially, but it bears its own rewards. Nothing worth doing is usually easy. And this isn't really that hard. Me, by myself, I did this in 6 hours. Probably could have done it faster, but it's bloody hot, and I got rained out for a couple hours, and that slowed things down a lot. But so anyone can really do it, and I highly recommend, like, if you have, and a lot of times in this technique too, you'll grow more than you can eat probably, or you might get sick of tomatoes or peppers after a while. Give them to a friend, give them to a neighbor. Pay it forward, as they say, and ye too shall receive bounty. But enough sermonizing from me. But so let me know if you're going to try this. I will try to give updates probably every week about how stuff is doing. So if you have an interest in it, please let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's very important. Liking and subscribing makes you want to keep doing this kind of stuff more. And I like to bring these how-tos to people if I possibly can. And I am by no means an expert. Like I said, tonight I will come back and water these in so they get a nice deep seat, but don't do it during midday for those of you who never gardened before. And yeah, man, I can't wait. I cannot wait to start receiving bounty, and it should be within several weeks. I should be getting stuff to share with others and my family. So yeah, once again, if you have any experience with this style of gardening, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it, your successes, your failures, what you learned. We're all learning creatures, and and as a good friend of mine said the other day, none of us have the corner marketed, or the market corner, excuse me. Man, tongue-tied today. Market cornered on knowledge. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll give you one last sweeping look at the mighty vegetable garden. And all right, until the next update, this is Genome out.